Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. It's now August, the first week of August 2026. It's a rainy Monday afternoon. It's extremely humid. I guess it's going to be humid all week and going to get warm for a spell. I'll be looking forward to the next, nice stretch of weather. Today's topic is your local transmission builder becoming extinct? This idea came to me while I was driving along the other day and got to thinking it's probably always been that way. I have worked in the automotive industry since the day I was old enough to be employed as a part-time job. I got on my bike, I rode down to the village center. I stopped at a hardware store. They didn't need any help. I stopped at a bicycle repair shop. They didn't need any help. I stopped at a transmission shop and he said, "When can you start?" I was supposed to sweep the floor. That didn't last the duration of the afternoon after school, and I was pulling transmissions, and the rest is history. Nobody in that era, obviously way before the internet, nobody in that era, the builders were scarce. We had one, sometimes two, and the next transmission shop I went to, they had two, and that was it. Information was not shared. There was no time to anyway, but even after hours or training or etc., you were on your own. You had to figure it out yourself. You had to be naturally gifted or born into it. Well, I was curious, and I also bought my first car, a 70 Chevelle SS 396 with a Turbo 400 that didn't have second gear. Our trained builder, who's passed away now, so I don't want to speak ill of him, but he offered to go through it at night at his own shop, and he did it twice and never fixed it. I learned a lot from that guy, but in this case, as far as Turbo 400 knowledge, I was allowed to stand there and watch and wash parts, but I didn't know what I was looking at. But clearly, what do you think was wrong with it? Put it in the comments. You know what's wrong with it. No second gear. I had first and third in reverse. So from there forward, I slowly started digging into things myself. I learned a valuable lesson that why pay someone to screw something up when I can screw it up myself? You learn from your mistakes, and that was how it was done. I didn't really know where to buy a specific transmission manual even, because you got to remember, most people, half the people watching this maybe couldn't even fathom not having the internet. So you had catalogs. You could mail money away and parts would show up, but the catalogs were kind of scarce. You had your local auto supply stores, but they don't specialize in transmissions. You might have one on the entire East Coast parts outlet, but back then they didn't want to sell to the general public. They were only, going to go distribute to repair shops. The local library wasn't going to have anything. I knew manuals existed because my dad had two Chilton manuals that I still have. And a lot of those broke down transmissions. In fact, my older Chilton manual indeed has a Turbo 400 section. So there was pictures and information and theory. Kind of had to pick that up as you went along. And I've often said, you can take anything apart, maybe figure out what's wrong, but you can definitely take it apart and put it back together and not know a whole lot about it. It's the taking it apart, knowing how things work, and being able to point at what's wrong. Now there is where the value lies. I know lots of career automotive technicians or mechanics, whatever you want to call them, who have never opened up a transmission. I learned working at dealerships that if you had the ability to do specialized repair, you were going to do specialized repair. The guys that don't do specialized repair probably clock more hours than you. They might make less per hour if the system was fair. If you look at the difficulty of the work, but it doesn't work that way most of the time. So that situation has not righted itself. A lot of times the burden of actually keeping things moving and figuring stuff out and fixing the product relies on the weary technician who is worked to death. When I started this YouTube channel, I had no idea I was going to be one of the YouTube transmission advice givers, but I was glad to do it. My channel started as, and still remains today, all kinds of stuff, not just transmissions. And my viewership ratings show that, because transmission videos are still popular. And the other stuff I do, most build series and stuff, unless you're wildly popular or famous, it's a really tough market to be in. But I still do it. I enjoy doing the videos a couple times a week, and it's kind of fun, and it helps me in chronological order. If I need to remember what I did or where I stopped on a project, even sometimes, depending on how long there's a lapse in between, well, it's there forever. Well, as far as we know, the internet was there forever. But if I was to do it over again, I would systematically arrange my videos in some kind of order that probably made more sense. But in my playlist, there's several full build series. Sometimes we're just taking stuff apart, but there was a whole lot of that on the internet, on YouTube, but there was a whole lot of putting together. So I painstakingly did at least 2 or 3 transmissions in sections all the way through. So it's there if you want to watch it, and hopefully you get something out of it. And that was a bonus. I have always thought, what's the expression? The rising tide raises all boats. Well, same goes with the transmission industry. And also, the sidebar, the name of this video, you could exchange transmission rebuilder for engine rebuilder, driveline rebuilder, any specialized skill. But in this case, I'm speaking of what I know of, and that's transmission rebuilding. To this day, I'm actually winding down. I'm headed for retirement, and I'll still do some Turbo 400 and Power Glide stuff, but that's all I do these days. I say no to everything else. And I recommend the local shops that I'm friends with. Again, right back to being a family in a small world. Most of my friends locally, and it's a pretty small circle of transmission rebuilders, but I know them all. And in my area, some guys specialize in different models. Like my friend's a Chrysler guy. He's really good at 727s. If somebody needs one, I'm going to send them to him. Another guy has a shop, a full-blown shop with, that'll tackle about anything, and I'll send people to him. It's a small world, and it's a family, and you got to treat them nicely, and all you have is your reputation. Hopefully it's a good one, and you maintain that. Once you lose track or the ability to control your reputation, if you do shoddy work or take advantage of people, it's not in your power to rein that negativity back in. So it's best just to, do the right thing and be a good person. I've had more than I can count, many people contact me, have watched my videos. They did one from themselves, they did one for a buddy. Some went into business themselves. It is a difficult life if you choose to be one. It's a good life. You can make it, earn a living, for sure, if you want to be a transmission rebuilder. However, it is pretty much like all things automotive, but especially transmissions. If one mistake, if you overlook something, or tear an O-ring or a gasket or whatever, it will immediately, if not almost immediately, show its face as a problem. There's no free lunch. You have to be perfect almost all the time. And the same goes for engines, etc. But Yeah, there's focus and the ability to repeat over and over again excellent work is required. In modern day, today, it's not unheard of if you buy a name brand racing transmission. I hear they're $30,000 or more. You can easily spend $10,000 in parts to do it yourself or for someone else. And this is where I am glad I'm on the end of this, and you have to make a choice. If I go buy what used to be $100 core, now it's 300 or more sometimes. I go buy a Turbo 400 core, I make a nice street strip transmission. Even if I put a few good hard parts like a direct drum or whatever in it, and I do a nice job and I sell it, you can make a profit, a modest profit, and be fairly confident that if the entire thing failed, you could probably build another one and the loss wouldn't put you out of business. If you start dealing with transmissions that will bankrupt you, for instance, I have lots of people weekly contact me and want to build a high dollar transmission. They want to give me money and have me source all the parts. Now, I don't manufacture parts. I've gone over this. All your major companies can probably, they have to. They've employed builders. They have giant builders. They have bills to pay all the time. When they're not working on specific customer ordered jobs, they're building transmissions in the background to sell, and they have to keep the wheels turning. So if that affects the price, they can. Your local guy is doing one at a time, maybe two. So it's not the same. And so if somebody gives me a pile of money and I go buy all the parts for the high dollar transmission, and it's a racing transmission, and typically there's no warranty, but if you're like me, you care. And as far as I know today, knock on wood, all the transmissions I've done, at least in the last 10 years, are still out there going. Or we've had a phone call and we've fixed it. If somebody gives you a lot of money, whether they mean to or not, but the higher the dollar value, the more responsibility you're under. So you take the money, you buy all the parts from all these manufacturers, you buy the best stuff you can that's in budget. And this also gets tricky. If a person wants to cheap out on stuff, they're still going to look at you if something goes wrong. Whether they hurt it themselves, as we all know by watching the videos I've done anyway, that you can hurt a Turbo 400 pretty easy. And it'll hurt you also if you don't have the right safety gear, but let's not get off on that. Just be aware of it. But at this point in my career, again, I'm barreling down the hill toward retirement. I really have no appetite for being on the hook, even mentally, because I feel connected to everyone I do. They're like little children. You're letting them out and hope they don't get abused, and they live a long life. But yeah, I haven't been in the situation. Well, one time I've been in the situation, and again, as a customer, if it's to say that situation presents itself, in this case, it was a non-issue. But if you're in business and you have a customer that you know is trouble, don't take their money. Let them go somewhere else, and eventually they're going to run out of places to go. And that's the exact situation that happened here. His reason he was upset with me is he had an SFI case Turbo 400, the ring of bolts around the pump that's 3/4 of an inch away from any oil. Well, the head of the bolt was wet with oil, and he was convinced it was leaking. Nothing you can do there. So anyway, nowadays I would definitely think twice if somebody else wants to source all the parts. Putting it together is fun. I love putting expensive parts together. I mean, that's awesome. And that'll probably be the way it's going to have to go down from here forward. But if you're starting out, you can easily get in that situation. And it's a choice you got to make. Another local guy I've actually never met face to face. We're friends on Facebook. He's only one town over, but we're friends. And if I know somebody needs a diesel transmission for the diesel pickup, I'll probably send them to him. Those 6 transmissions are expensive. You know, $5,000's nothing, probably closer to 10 for a stock pickup, or however they got them turned up, maybe a little beyond stock, but the modern diesel pickup engines make a lot of power and they're hot on the driveline. I would not want to be fixing them right now. Whatever his pricing structure, however he's got it figured out, he's making a go of it. So it'd be interesting to have a conversation with him to see how much worry he's carrying as far as, you know, if things were to go south on a unit and what happens next. So, but I in no way want to discourage anybody from moving forward. If you're thinking about jumping ship and, you know, building transmissions full time, definitely on the side or for yourself, dive right in. If I was a business, relatively, you know, small amount of specialized tools, you might want to specialize in a certain transmission at first, maybe. If you want to take all comers, I mean, you can get, if you want to fix stock modern stuff from, you know, modern, even 30 years ago, 700 R4s on up to all modern 6L80s and 90s and the 10 speeds. If you want to do that, your yard will be full all the time. People will be angry because it's their vehicle they drive and they want it back and it costs a lot of money. Maybe you should open a candy store. Is anybody ever mad when they walk into a candy store to buy chocolate? Probably not. That's why I chose hot rods, etc. It's, you know, the automotive equivalent of candy most of the time. So hope you had a great day and enjoy your week. My last month and a half, 2 months, I've got almost nothing done in my shop. And in the middle of getting nothing done in my shop, I'm trying to completely clean and reorganize, move stuff out to the boxes, clean. I started on the other end of the shop in the extension. I'm working this way. I guess with a goal by fall, maybe I'll be able to, you know, have room to work on something. It is what it is. So have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.